Thanks, Goose. The Escapists is a top-down pixel adventure set in a prison, where your goal is to Shawshank your way out of there without getting caught.
After a quick tutorial, you're ready to attempt your first escape. But don't expect to take those first steps as a free person unless you're willing to play the long game.
The first thing you'll learn is that prison life operates on a pretty tight schedule. Morning roll call, meals, time for work, exercise, and so forth. You need to be present and accounted for at all of these places at the times they take place, or alarms will sound and you'll basically get shot on sight.
Stay alert and pay attention to everything that's going on, however, and you'll often witness fights and beatdowns, leaving prisoners unconscious for long enough for you to go through their belongings. And you start to find and collect items that you can use to bargain with or aid in your escape.
You can also apply for a job to earn a bit of cash to buy useful items, although I found it easier just to do shady favours for other inmates for money. Usually it involved retrieving a stolen item or beating up someone for someone else.
But don't go into a fight without a weapon or it will end badly. You can craft one from other items, but you'll need to raise your intelligence first by surfing the internet in your free time.
You can also steal weapons from other inmates, but again, getting into fights requires strength. So during those compulsory exercise periods, you do actually have to lift weights to get your health up. And that literally involves just spamming Q and E until you're too fatigued, both in and out of the game. Not exactly my idea of fun, Barjo.
I do like that there are so many aspects involved in every step of this game though. And finally, getting your hands on a shiv or something equally useful feels like a small but exciting victory.
Yeah, but you can never just knuckle down and focus on cultivating your plan though. Because the meals and the roll call and the more meals, you're constantly having to show up to each one of these places, and I found it all started to get a bit tedious.
Yeah, but that's prison life, man. Like we said, it's the long game. You need to take tiny steps towards your escape plan every day without getting caught.
Yeah, I know. It's just a kind of patience that I guess I don't have. Not to mention mistakes are costly. Lose a fight and you'll end up in the infirmary and have all of your contraband taken away from you. So anything you've collected and were keeping on your person, gone. I mean, those kinds of backwards steps are devastating.
You can store items in the desk in your cell to keep them safe, but cells get raided nightly, so there's that to worry about as well. But Hex, it was when I was searching other people's cells that I found the most useful stuff.
It's hard knowing as well what to hang on to, because you could come across a crafting note later that that item could be relevant for.
I love all the little comments and chatter from prison life, made funnier by the fact that you can name all of the inmates and guards whatever you like. I think we're seeing a return to these kinds of pixel games now. And maybe that's because there's a strange satisfaction from those little daily accomplishments.
I mean, I could see from what I played of this that there is a lot of room for improvisation. Many different ways to try and plan your escape. But it's an arduous process, and I think this kind of game really appeals to a particular kind of gamer, and I'm just not one of them.
I am. I think it's thrilling in its own way. Smuggling a guard's uniform into your cell, saving it for when you're finally able to make your escape. Waiting for just the right moment?
Yeah, well, after days of mashing Q and E in the gym and browsing the prison internet and getting into fights and collecting the things I needed, I found a file to cut through the vent in my cell. But it wasn't enough, I needed another file. So I got one, and in the dead of night I finally made my way through the vent, but no, instant fail. I just ended up in solitary. You can load from previous saves, but I just didn't feel compelled or engaged enough to do that.
Well, this game is generating quite a lot of excitement online, and I think it's for those sorts of people who like to share stories and swap tips on forums. I think they get the most out of it.
Similar to Papers, Please, for example.
There is a slow repetitiveness to it, yes, but also a particular kind of reward from that patience and strategy.
See, I wasn't a massive fan of that game either, although I know it was equally loved by many. I think for me a game in this genre that I really connected with was Actual Sunlight. Because it had a narrative and a core message that, for me, actually made all those menial actions worthwhile. This just didn't do it for me, and I got frustrated and bored pretty quickly.
What are you going to give it, Hex?
Well, while I'm sure that many people will relish in this particular brand of strategic tedium, for me it was a 2-star experience.
I like this a lot. I'm giving it 3 stars.